Throughout the history of Hyrule, there has been some catastrophic attacks from this evil known as Ganon, Ganondorf, Dark Beast Ganon, whichever form it may be, from just trying to steal the Triforce to taking over the entire kingdom for years. It's fair to say this evil has caused some mayhem over the years, and that got me thinking, what is the most deadly attacks from this great evil? Whether it be in the form of Ganon, Ganondorf, or Dark Beast Ganon. There has been countless attacks, but which 5 attacks were the worst, inflicting the most damage to the kingdom, the longest lasting effect, and just the most malicious and destructive attacks? Well, today, we're going to count down my top 5 most deadly attacks from Ganon. Number 5. Ganondorf's attack in Twilight Princess. So to start this list off, we looked at everything Ganondorf done in the events of Twilight Princess. To start off, prior to the events of the game, Ganondorf was put on trial at the Arbiter's grounds. He was sentenced to be executed. The sages managed to deal some damage to him by impaling him with the sword of the 6 sages. However, this wasn't enough. Ganondorf possessed the Triforce of Power, and it just so happened to activate at this moment in time, making it impossible for the sages to execute him. Ganondorf with his mighty strength broke free from his chains, and without a second thought, lunged for the Sage of Water. Ganondorf killed the Sage of Water. In a moment of slight panic from the sages, as the evil Ganondorf looked for his next victim, they opened the gate to the Twilight Realm, and sent him through immediately before he could inflict more harm. While sending Ganondorf to the Twilight Realm was a good idea in the moment, it wouldn't turn out to be so good in the long run. Ganondorf teams up with Zan within the Twilight Realm. With his help, he is able to break free and gain access back into Hyrule. Ganondorf isn't seen again until the end of the game. After already killing one of the sages, he gets up to more vicious attacks. In an attempt to take out Link and Midna, he possesses Princess Zelda's body, and fights Link one-on-one with her body. A sick thing to do, portraying just how evil this man is. After that, he proceeds to change into beast form, destroying the throne room even further, and then once out in Hyrule Field, he inflicts even more damage to the castle, from the looks of things, potentially destroying it. This was one deadly attack from the evil that is Ganondorf, killing a sage, possessing Zelda's body, and severely damaging the castle. Yeah, this was a deadly attack, and a great way to start this list. Number 4. Ganon's backstory in The Wind Waker. So, we aren't focusing on what Ganondorf did in the events of The Wind Waker, and more the backstory of Ganon. In the prologue at the beginning of the game, we are told a little tale involving Ganon. The prologue begins with telling us about the events of the Hero of Time, and the story of him sealing away the great evil in the events of Ocarina of Time. Once that is all said and done, the horror begins. Long after Ganon was sealed away, when nobody in the kingdom would imagine his return, the nightmare nobody could imagine became a reality. Ganon had managed to break free from his seal, allowing him to attack the kingdom and cause mayhem across the land, slaughtering innocent civilians, destroying towns and villages, and ultimately taking control of Hyrule. Hope seemed pretty dire and gone at this point for the people of Hyrule. The Hero of Time had not shown up. He was their only real hope, as he had faced this evil once before and won the battle, but wasn't to be seen this time around. As Ganon destructively took over the kingdom, the people of Hyrule sought help from the gods, their only real hope at this point, and thankfully for them, the gods intervened, at the cost of the kingdom. The almighty gods of Hyrule flooded the land in order to stop Ganon's reign of terror, wiping him out along with the kingdom. The gods were forced to flood the land if they wanted any sort of foreseeable future for Hyrule. So this attack from Ganon led to him destroying his way through the kingdom, slaughtering innocent civilians and destroying anything in his path. There was no hero to stop him, making him unstoppable, which ultimately forced the gods into flooding the land and practically wiping away the existence of Hyrule. It's fair to say this attack caused a lot of damage to the kingdom. Ganon's destructive chaos and forcing the gods into flooding the land is why this attack grabs the number 4 spot. Number 3. Ganon's evil slaughtering leading to A Link to the Past. If you know your Zelda timeline well, you will know this is the events from the Downfall timeline, the altered events from Ocarina of Time, where Ganon is the successful one. This tale of blood-filled horror begins with Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time discovering a way to enter the Sacred Realm, the place where the almighty Triforce was kept. However, he slaughtered his own army to reach it, to ensure that he would be the one to claim the Triforce. This could be seen as a good thing that he took out his own army, but it's still pretty horrifying regardless. Once he had claimed the Triforce for himself, the land turned into what was known as the Dark World, and Ganondorf transformed into the massive beast that is Ganon. The land was now in a very dark state. Ganon unleashed war against Hyrule. This sparked battles between himself and the Hylian army. Of course, Ganon was far too strong for the Knights of Hyrule. He wiped them out relentlessly with ease. The sages of the land managed to seal the connection between the Dark World and Hyrule, thankfully due to the brave knights that lost their lives. Ganon was sealed within the Dark World. The land seemed restored, but there was more to come. Years later, Ganon uses the evil wizard Aghanim to break free from the Dark World. This evil wizard gains the trust of the king, and goes on to take over Hyrule for himself. The evil wizard attempts to break the seal on Ganon and break him through to the land of Hyrule, the Light World. He sends the descendants of the sages, now known as the Maidens, to the Dark World and attempt to break Ganon's seal. However, Link manages to save the final maiden, Princess Zelda, stopping Aghanim's plan. However, long story short, Aghanim finds Zelda and sends her to the Dark World. This successfully broke the seal, and allowed Ganon's presence to spread throughout the Light World. Link manages to defeat Aghanim later in the game, however, the evil wizard sends Link to the Dark World. Link manages to save the maidens in the end, and take out Aghanim within the Dark World, finishing him once and for all. But a shadow of Ganon is casted, and a bat flies off. From here, Link faces Ganon one-on-one and finally puts an end to the chaos he has caused alongside Aghanim. So, wiping out his own army, slaughtering as a way for the attacks of the Hylian army, and turning the land into darkness? Yeah, that was one hell of an attack by Ganon, and that's why it takes my number 3 spot. Number 2. Ganon's evil takeover of Hyrule. Early on in Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf wouldn't seem so harmful, but that would change drastically as time goes on. After Ganondorf is denied the spiritual stones from their respective homes, he put a curse on the Great Deku Tree and Lord Jabu Jabu, along with blocking the entrance to Dodongo's cavern with a giant boulder. To top this off, he falsely swore allegiance to the king. Not off to a great start. Further down the line, Ganondorf betrays the king and attacks within the castle. A little further down the line, after Link obtains all 3 spiritual stones, Ganondorf is seen chasing Impa and Zelda out of Castletown, as if he is ready to take them both out. He loses sight of them and ends up talking to a very frightened and young Link, claiming he will one day rule the land. Shortly after this, Ganondorf follows Link into the Sacred Realm, and almost manages to acquire the full Triforce. However, when he manages to touch the Triforce, it splits into 3, leaving Ganondorf with only the Triforce of Power. From here, Link is asleep for 7 whole years, and during this time, Ganondorf does exactly what he told Link he would do, and that is, rule the land. Ganondorf managed to take out everyone in his path, destroying Castletown, Hyrule Castle, and building his own fortress of a castle, known as Ganon's Castle. Ganondorf had conquered the entire kingdom. The few Hylians who survived the brutal attack on Castletown had escaped off to Kakariko village, but many didn't make it. Ganondorf was ruthless, a true embodiment of evil, taking out everything and everyone who stood in his way. Nobody in the kingdom would venture near Castletown, unless they had a death wish. Later in the story, Link eventually faces Ganondorf on the top floor of his mighty castle. They have a fierce one-on-one battle that Link wins. However, it wasn't over. The castle begins to crumble. Link and Princess Zelda have to rush their way down the castle as it falls to pieces, and thankfully, they do. Just. However, this is only to be met with an unseen threat. What once was Ganondorf is now the massive, terrifying beast, Ganon. He towers over Link with massive blades bigger than the hero himself. The hero, with the help of the sages and Princess Zelda, manages to defeat the beast that had caused so much pain for the kingdom for 7 years. However, this evil creature still possessed the Triforce of Power. He was sealed away, but with a destiny to return someday. This attack was honestly brutal, causing minor harm to the kingdom in the early days, to breaking into the Silent Realm, to then taking over the entire kingdom for 7 years, taking out the civilians of Castletown and Hyrule Castle, completely leaving the town in ruins. I rank this one so high mainly due to the fact that he was able to take over Hyrule for so long, and just how deceivable this iteration was. A truly evil and deadly attack. Number 1. The Great Kalama. 100 years before the game takes place, the inevitable attack of Ganon arises. The people of Hyrule have been preparing for this attack for years, developing the Divine Beasts, the Guardians, and all sorts of Sheikah technology to defend the kingdom. The story of this tragic attack begins with Princess Zelda finishing up praying at the Spring of Wisdom. Once she had reached the bottom of the mountain alongside Link, Calamity Ganon had finally broke free. This moment had been coming for a while, but nobody could predict exactly when it would, so this came as a surprise. The kingdom stood in shock. The beast-like monster swarmed the castle, letting out a horrifying roar, letting the kingdom know he was there. It didn't take long for Calamity Ganon to begin attacking. With his malice, he corrupted the Guardians and Divine Beasts, turning them against Hyrule. He hit the kingdom with their own creations. The Guardians caused chaos, destroying Castletown and spreading out further into the kingdom, destroying anyone and anything in their way. Villages, towns, civilians, it doesn't matter. The corrupted Guardians were mindless, just like Calamity Ganon. They took out anything that stood in their way, no matter what. This destroyed a large majority of the land, leaving it in absolute ruin, not to mention decreased the population massively. The other 4 champions piloting the Divine Beasts were sadly part of the wiping out. Those 4 champions, along with the King of Hyrule, gone. Calamity Ganon's attack had took out 5 key figures to the kingdom so easily, and was soon destined to wipe out Link. Thankfully for Hyrule, Link just managed to survive. Well, he did have to rest for the next 100 years, but before that could happen, Calamity Ganon needed to be stopped. Princess Zelda herself, alone, went to go confront Calamity Ganon at the peak of Hyrule Castle. She couldn't take him out, but she could seal him for the time being and allow Link to recover, at the cost of being Calamity Ganon's prisoner. 100 years onwards from the sealing of Calamity Ganon, and Link had recovered. He managed to recover the Divine Beasts and eventually was ready to face Calamity Ganon. After an intense battle in the depths of the castle and a showdown in Hyrule Field, Calamity Ganon was finally put to bed. This attack, in my opinion, was by far the worst. The most deadly, destructive, and long-lasting attack. Calamity Ganon destroyed the entire kingdom, turned the technology against the kingdom, wiped out the majority of the population, including 4 champions and the king himself. The kingdom was left in ruins after this attack. This was by far the most deadly attack Hyrule has ever seen. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my list of the top 5 most deadly attacks from Ganon. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Zelda videos. Hop in our Discord server through the link below, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.